You are listening live to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast with you, as always, Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com, Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mock draft time. We're going to take it every 3 picks. Jeff's going to have pick number 1. He'll have pick 4, 7, and so on. Pick number 2 is going to be Sam McDowell, so he'll have 2, 5, 8, so on. I will have 3, 6, 9, all the way through pick number 30. It works out that we each have 10 picks leading up to get through pick number 30. Then at 31, we'll discuss what happened. Along the way, we'll talk about what the Chiefs might be thinking. Are they thinking about trading up? When are they disappointed to see somebody come off the boards? We'll find out who slides in this thing. Are there any sleepers? Where might be there some trade ups or trade downs? It's time to mock draft the first round and see who the Kansas City Chiefs get right now, right here with the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.
You are listening to the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Chiefs on planet Earth, breaking down the Chiefs like no one else can. Red, Gold, and Bold is hosted by Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro. Jeff Chadiha is a senior columnist and on-air personality for the NFL Network and NFL.com. Sam McDowell is a columnist for the Kansas City Star. Soren Petro is the afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. The Red, Gold, and Bold podcast is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are the hosts of the Best Chiefs podcast, Jeff Chadiha, Sam McDowell, and Soren Petro.
Thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it as we are off and running. It's mock draft time, guys. The exercise here is to figure out, 1, where things go, and 2, take a look at it from a Kansas City Chiefs perspective and figure out what it means for them all. We've laid it out. Jeff's going to go 1, Sam's going to go 2, I'm going to go 3, rinse and repeat all the way through pick number 30, and then we'll figure out what happens with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Jeff, without further ado, pick number 1. Where are you going with this? Blow us away here.
We should outline our qualifications. This is who we want to pick, right?
Yeah.
This isn't who we think we're not predicting here. This is who we would pick.
All right. So what else? What else do we need to know? Who we would pick? No trades.
No trades.
Right. Like, despite Eric Eager, who was once told that, and then immediately traded like the 5th pick of the draft, for Chris Jones.
Yeah,
still my favorite ever.
The inaugural mock draft.
Yeah. So, here we go. Yeah. No, I'm going to trade. I've got Chris Jones and the Chiefs first. It's like, okay, alrighty. Yeah, that was still my favorite. Still my favorite there. What else? Anything else we need to put out there? Make sure that everyone's up to speed with how we're going to do this.
No, straightforward.
No, straightforward. Good to go. All right. So this is, again, just to reiterate what Sam wanted to make sure everybody knows, this is who we would take in those situations. We're not trying to predict who the team is going to take. Jeff Chadiha is going to tell you that, yes, he, as the head guy for the Tennessee Titans, would be going running back with the first overall pick, right? That's what you would do. Is that what I'm about to hear, Jeff?
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that Freddie Fermin didn't steal my thunder, got it out of the way. Royals win, so now I can make my pick and really bask in the glow of taking Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami, is the first overall pick. To me, it's a no-brainer. He's the best quarterback available. We don't have a quarterback we trust. We have to get this regime going in the right direction with Brian Callahan as our head coach, offensive-minded guy. I like Cam Ward.
Okay. I like it. By the way, you got to always shout out somebody who throws this one here. Terry, best Chiefs podcast, hands down. That's a good way. Right. To react to Jeff Chadiha's first pick. I like it. Yeah, Cam Ward, I don't think there's much there to say, Sam. What do you got at number 2? Cleveland's on the board. There's some talk that Cleveland and even the Giants at 3 are entertaining trade downs, but right now we've got Cleveland on the board. Where are you going?
Yeah, that surprises me because I think I'd go with Travis Hunter, and I just think he's a rare talent. And I think if you are the second or third pick in this draft, because I think we all think the Titans will do what Jeff did with Cam Ward, that the second and third picks I think fall pretty easily. um,
For those that are catching us on the
wait,
podcast,
wait for it.
Jeremy says Sam is taking Colston Loveland at number 2.
No, I guarantee between the three of us, I take him first. But look, Travis Hunter, I think, is the best all-around player in the draft, and I don't have to decide on April 23rd or April 24th where he's going to play for me. Like, I have time to figure that out. I can change it around from week to week, but I know that Andrew Berry has mentioned that he likes him more as a wide receiver. He's one of the few GMs that's been on record saying which way he'd play him. And those that have, I think he's one of the very few that have said specifically wide receiver. If I'm GM, I'm playing him more at corner than wide receiver, but I can play him at both spots.
Okay. I think it's interesting. Travis Hunter putting it out there. If he doesn't play both ways, he'll retire. I don't think anybody's buying that.
How does he feel about going to Cleveland?
Yeah, well, that might be part of it. That's his smokescreen to get out of going to Cleveland. And I wonder if that's what he's already told Cleveland, and that's why they're now entertaining, hey, what can we get? Who wants to come up to number 2? Because we may have a malcontent on our hands. I think the Giants would be foolish to move down. I don't think there's a quarterback worth anybody coming up for. So to me, the guy people would be coming up for, in my opinion, Travis Hunter is a tremendous player, but I do think there's a little drama there with him. I'm not sure how to use him, and I think you run the risk of pissing your fan base off no matter how you do use him, right? If he's playing receiver and he's not out there and you give up a touchdown, everyone's going to be pissed that he wasn't out there playing every single snap. I think the safest, best pick.
I don't care about my fans.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've known that for years.
They obviously don't.
We've known that for years. Abdul Carter is the safest, best pick here. The Giants take him. You get an edge rusher like this. I think he is going to be a premier talent. I think he's going to be double-digit sacks every year. I think he's $100+ million guy. When you put a second contract in front of him, and I think you'll be happy to do it. I don't think it's necessarily who the Giants want to take, but they have no choice. They have to take the best player. It's Abdul Carter. So I go Abdul Carter 3 to the Giants. That brings you, Jeff, back on the board with the Pats at number 4.
Yeah, I was tempted to go edge rusher here because Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy and they need help on that side of the football, but I can't pass up Will Campbell at offensive tackle. I think, you have Drake May going in his second year. You want to build a supporting cast routing that you trust, and protecting the blind side would be a big move going in that direction. So I'm going Will Campbell.
Okay. Will Campbell. The arm length doesn't bother Jeff. He's ready to rock and roll. I like that. Make it happen.
Overrated.
All right. That takes us to pick number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars on the board. That's you, Sam. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think if the first 4 picks fall this way, that my selection becomes kind of obvious, which is Mason Graham, defensive tackle at Michigan. I think that there's good talent in this draft, but I kind of think there's a pretty distinct line after these 5. So if I get one of these 5, which I will, terrific. So look, I mean, I was one of the worst defensive lines in football last year. The Jaguars allowed the 4th highest, the 4th highest EPA per rush. I got no pressure on the quarterback last year. So to me, this is a guy that can potentially solve both of those with Mason Graham.
All right. Do we agree here after the first 5, we feel pretty good, are kind of locked in that this is what everybody's got, that the draft starts at 6, or no, does it really start at 7? I'm going to start it at 6 because I'm going to go against what most people are putting up there here in a second. But where do we think the draft really starts? Is it 6? Is it 7? Is it 8? Where do we think that there will be something that's different than what we have?
Well, I mean, to trade would be, I think, something that's most likely different than what we have. If there's no trade, I totally agree with you. I think 6.
If there's a trade up, though, is somebody coming and going to take somebody out of this order? Or are they going to come up to 2 and take Travis Hunter? Are they going to come up to 3 and take Abdul Carter? Like, does the order stay the same?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think what some people are probably doing is the math on quarterbacks, and is there a quarterback that somebody's going to trade? I don't think I think we're all in agreement on this. To me, even if we allowed the Eagle rule to have trades, I don't think any of us are using our picks to trade up to get Shedeur Sanders in this draft.
No, No chance. In fact, I think there's a better chance that he goes in round 2 than he goes in the top 10. The way things are coming out right now. Maybe those are smoke screens to drive him down. Maybe the Steelers want him at 21. The Saints want him at 9. Whoever it might be. We'll find out how this ends up shaking out. All right, at pick number 6, everybody's got Las Vegas going running back, but this is how I would do it, and I'm not taking a running back with the 6th pick. I don't think you can do that. I think you can find 85, 90, 95% of whatever running back you can take later on if you're the Raiders. So I'm going to make the smarter pick. I think the Raiders, there's a good chance they do take running back and take Ashton Jetty here, but I'm going to take Jalen Walker, edge Georgia. They need help along the defensive line. Mason Crosby, I don't know how long he's going to be happy there. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to try to pair him up, get a pass rush coming after somebody. Pete Carroll's the head coach. He wants defense. He's taking pass rushers. He also doesn't mind kind of the smallish and he's not undersized if you're going to use him as a stand-up backer, but he's a little undersized if you're going to use him as a defensive lineman. But this is, I've seen this pick made by Pete Carroll before. So Jalen Walker goes 6 to Vegas. That puts.
Didn't you just give Max Crosby an extension? You're not sure if he's happy there?
Yeah.
He wanted $100 million.
He wanted to get paid. You don't think that he's 10 minutes away from going from demanding a trade?
He better be at least 20 if I just gave him $100 million.
Did you see Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill wasn't even 12 months removed from getting a fat contract, and he was asking for a trade. You think it's beyond the realm of possibility Mason Graham wants out?
Max Crosby.
It was Mason Crosby. Well, if Mason Crosby's rushing a passer, I definitely want Jalen Walker.
I'm sorry.
Max Crosby to Mason Crosby to Mason Graham. Don't take my guy.
Yeah.
Too many.
I don't want a kicker rushing the passer.
He would suck. I'm just going to tell you that right now. All right. So to avoid me having to come up with anyone else's name, let's go to pick 7. Jeff. Where are you going with 7 on the Jets?
I'm going with the local guy, Armand Membo, offensive tackle, Missouri. I can't pass up the chance to keep bolstering that offensive line. Took Oli Fashanu last year, and Elijah Vera Tucker's still got a promising future. So I'm going to go with this another offensive lineman to round this out.
Brad, truer words than never said. Soren, the name butcher Petro. I will stand by that one. All right, Armand Membo. This one makes too much sense. It's too bad that we sentence a local kid to purgatory in the NFL to just sit and play in relative anonymity in the biggest market in the NFL because the team will suck and have no idea of what they're doing around him. That brings us to 8. Carolina. You're on the board, Sam. Where are you going with Carolina?
Yeah.
And have you contacted Eager? Is there inside intel on where this pick is going?
I have not. I should say that I contacted to let him know I was picking for him, but absolutely zero intel on who was going to pick because the Raiders GM in this draft have screwed me at the 8th pick because if Ashton Jeanty is not the 6th pick, like Jalen Walker's my guy here. I have to go defense. I had the worst pressure rate in the NFL. I've already signed defensive tackles, 2 defensive tackles, obviously Tershawn Morton being one of them, Brown being the other. I'm getting Derek Brown back. So I really need an edge player. I'm tempted almost to go Will Johnson here, but they obviously gave J.C. Horn a ton of money. They did sign their cornerback too. So this is the first opportunity where if I'm a team, I'm looking to trade out of the one that I have to see what's out there. Does anybody else want? In our draft, we're forcing ourselves to pick a player. So I've gone with Mykel Williams from Georgia, an edge player. I'm just picking the best edge that's on the board.
Okay, you're picking the best player available at the biggest position of need.
At a premier position, yeah.
Is there a player at a different position that you think is better than that?
Not at a premier position. I mean, Ashton Jeanty is a better player, but not at a premier position. Will Johnson's the other guy I'm considering though, but at a premier position. Him not running the 40, I think, could slide him out of the top 10.
All right, at number 9, I am not a Shedeur Sanders guy because of the amount of sacks that he takes. I don't know what he's going to be. I mean, there's some talk now that he did terrible interviews and everything, but I think the Saints got to take a quarterback, right? And from what I hear in New Orleans from talking to the people, I know that cover the Saints down there, that they say it doesn't mean they're going to take him, but they put a lot more time in on Jackson Dart. And this feels more like a trade down and then take Dart. But I think the Saints got to have a quarterback. And if that's the guy they like, I don't like Shedeur Sanders. I don't love Jackson Dart. There's no other quarterback I'm interested in, but if there is a quarterback that's possible, and also, this is who I would take. I probably really wouldn't take the quarterback here, but I think they will. I think a team has to go quarterback if you have a belief in him.
He hasn't even announced the pick, and he's backing away.
Yes.
I am backing it away.
It seemed bolder when you start to say it. Now it seems like
but I do think Jackson Dart is the second best quarterback prospect, so I will take Jackson Dart number 9.
Wow. Well, the draft starts at 9 in our draft.
Okay. Well, I thought it started when you had to come off of taking. I thought it started with Jalen Walker at 6.
Jalen Walker changed some things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're back to you, Jeff. Number 10. The Chicago Bears are on the clock.
Well, I'm sticking with my blocking pass protection theme here. This will be the 3rd straight time I've taken an offensive lineman in this mock draft, and it will be Kelvin Banks Jr. Of Texas. I just think the Bears, just like the Jets and like the Patriots, got to find a way to keep bolstering their offensive line. And Braxton Jones, their current left tackle, has not had a vote of confidence. I think they're one left tackle away from really feeling good about what they have there, and Kelvin Banks is that guy.
Okay. Kelvin Banks, 10 to the Bears. That puts the 49ers at 11 on the clock. Sam, where are they going?
Well, my one GM has allowed my other GM to slide in here and pick Will Johnson from Michigan, cornerback. I think he's a great replacement for Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward has, I think, probably more speed than Will Johnson, but I don't think that's his primary attribute. I just think he slides in really well here. It does make me nervous that he has not run the 40s. Jeff was at the Michigan Pro Day. Like, he didn't run the 40 there. He didn't run at the Combine. I think he has enough other tools, and you put him in the right system, I still think he's going to be an elite player.
All right, that puts Dallas on the board at number 12. They got heckled, ridiculed for not going after Derrick Henry. They got, they've taken running back before. The problem was re-signing the running back. They did well with Ezekiel Elliott. Had to think there for a second. They did well on the first contract. It was the second contract that they shouldn't have done. And I don't think it's a lock that they will go. I think they could go wide receiver here, but they need a running back. And the fact that the best running back on the board is still there. They're not taking the second best, which a number of people haven't taken Amari and Hampton. So I'm going to take Ashton Genty, number 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones gets his running back. Although I love this stuff. Jerry Jones today saying, we're talking big name players. We're talking trade for big name players. So who knows what they end up doing, but I'll put Ashton Genty at number 12. 13, the Dolphins, the Fish are on the board. Jeff Chadiha, you've got that pick.
Yeah. They need help in their secondary. They're openly talking about trading Jalen Ramsey. This seems like a no-brainer pick. They got to find a corner. I've already lost out on Will Johnson thanks to Sam's pick, so I'm going with Jahdae Barron from Texas at 13 to help me get my secondary going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think everybody and their brother's got the Dolphins going corner. I don't know that I've seen anything other than corner to the Dolphins in a while on the mock drafts. All right, that takes us to 14. The Colts are on the board. Sam, you're on the mic.
Yeah, I'm definitely going different than what I think they will go. Somebody's already made the joke. I need a tight end here, and I think the better tight end in the draft is Colston Loveland. So I'm going with Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. And I don't think that this is like a slam dunk thing that Colston Loveland clears Tyler Warren by a mile. I just think he plays more of a wide receiver like position. He plays in the slot primarily, even in a run heavy offense. You see when he goes against cornerbacks, he wins jump balls. When he goes against linebackers, he's faster than they are. And here's the main thing that is the deciding factor for me if I like both these guys. Colston Loveland is 23 months younger than Tyler Warren is. Tyler Warren was at Penn State for 5 years. Colston Loveland only at Michigan for 3. So that to me is a pretty good tiebreaker to have, because if I'm picking 14th, I want to sign a guy to a second contract.
So we've now got, is that officially our first slide that we would say here? The first guy that's
Genty.
But he slid to 12. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. You know what the takeaway from picking from Genty so far, and I'm interested to see what happens when I pass up on Warren, because that's who I think the Colts will pick is Tyler Warren, is there's not necessarily an obvious landing spot. With Genty, we think he's going to go 6th. When we had the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th picks, we all had those picks, and those weren't great spots
Right,
for him.
right.
So it's not like he just goes next on the list. So we'll see where Loveland goes in our list, but I think that's an interesting learning experience going through and maybe picking what we think as opposed to predictions for these teams.
And where do we then land Tyler Warren? I agree. I think it is interesting. We had the comment before about you taking Colson Loveland 2, and they had me taking Mike Green 3. I didn't take him 3, but I am taking him 15 to Atlanta. They need an edge rusher. I don't think he's going to be here at 15. I think he makes his way probably up to like the 9-10 range. I think he's one of the guys that people are going to be trading up for if there is activity. I don't like that he hadn't run the 40. Right, that makes me think that it's not going to be that fast. So I don't think. I said, boy, if you think he's DeMarcus Ware, if you think he's Khalil Mack, smaller school guys that are tremendous edge rushers, those are guys that crept up. I know Mack got up into the top 5. I can't remember exactly where DeMarcus Ware went, but you're going to go up and get this guy. The fact that he's not running the 40 says to me he's not going to run a 4.48, a 4.52. So I don't think he belongs up that high. But I do think when I watch him play, and I saw some of the video cut-ups of him against big boy talent, I think he's the real deal. And I think the Falcons are thrilled to get him at this spot, and he helps them out along. They got a defensive head coach. I think it makes all the sense of the world. If you have a business and you have a parking lot, it makes all the sense of the world to make sure it's brightly striped, cut down on liability. There's one contractor in Kansas City that's been helping folks out for 30 years. It's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, proudly serving the greater Kansas City area. Nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor. Locally owned and making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Let Gann educate you about the most cost-effective way to solve your parking lot problems. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews. Every project comes with a written warning. Gann Asphalt keeps your parking lot safer and helps you and your business avoid unnecessary delays and costly expenses. Find Gann online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Your favorites are back, Kansas City, now for a limited time at all your KC Whataburger locations. Get the mushroom and Swiss burger, 2 large beef patties, Swiss American cheese, fire-roasted mushrooms, and creamy au jus. How about the sweet and spicy bacon burger, 2 large beef patties, American and Monterey Jack cheese, bacon, grilled onions, and topped with sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Or grab the patty melt, even the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich. They're all perfect with the Whataburger banana pudding shake. Remember, Whataburger's open 24 hours a day with breakfast served from 11 p. to 11 a. And don't forget, you can get all your Whataburger favorites and more by downloading the Whataburger app with the QR code. Whataburger, proud sponsor of the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast. I think it's fair to say that with the Cardinals on the clock at 16, we could ask the question, how will they screw up this pick? It is oftentimes what the Arizona Cardinals do. But I know that won't happen because Jeff Chadiha.
That's why we gave it to Jeff, yeah.
So right. They deserve – we slotted it. Listen, the Cardinal fans, they deserve somebody picking this right. So let's have Jeff pick for the Cardinals. They've got 16. Where are you going there, Jeff?
Keeping my offensive tackle run alive. I'm taking Josh Simmons here. Knee injury be damned. I like this option because they actually have some tackles in place. Paris Johnson and Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams will be off. Contract expires after this year. And Paris Johnson's really a right tackle playing left tackle. And so I could actually take my time and letting Josh Simmons heal, figure out where he's at. I'm going to trust my medical people who are going to tell me that he's worth taking at this spot. And I've got a plan for him. So I'm taking Josh Simmons here.
Did you have a payment plan on a draft book and you only made the first payment that only had tackles and you still owe another $399?
That's right.
To get the rest of the draft book here.
That's right. Trust me, I was not happy about having to pick 4 tackles in a row, but that's what you guys left me.
All right.
I got the quarterback. So
okay, 17. The Bengals are on the clock. Sam, where are we going?
Yeah, I have to go defense, although I think one of the funniest things of the draft would be if with these wide receivers available, if the Bengals just take one of these wide receivers. But to me, my interior defense was as bad as anywhere in the league. So I'm going with Derek Harmon of Oregon, who has this sort of weird juxtaposition of over the weekend, there was one report that potentially his medical has scared some teams. But when you look at that website they referenced, Grinding the Mocks, about where he's going, he just keeps moving up and up and up further on boards. And recently over the last week, watched a lot more of his cut-ups. And I just think his explosion off the line of scrimmage, he's got multiple moves. I think Derek Harmon's going to be a really good NFL player.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. I kind of like him making his way to the Chiefs, and I wonder if the scarcity of defensive tackle would have the Chiefs. I don't know that they're going to go clear to 17, but if you last a little while longer, I wonder if that isn't a trade-up possibility for the Chiefs. All right, that puts the Seahawks and me on the clock at number 18. I'm going to go with Gray Zabel here, although I wouldn't be shocked if it's Tyler Booker. That is maybe more the mindset. Everyone I talked to in Seattle says O-line, O-line, O-line. They were all hot to trot for Trey Smith. They think, and I know that Pete Carroll wants to run the football. I think, the versatility, the reason why I went ahead and went with Gray Zabel here is because he can play center, he can play guard, he can, I think, probably play right tackle in a pinch. And I think the versatility maybe makes him a little bit more attractive. Plus, I think the Alabama guys are kind of tough to, everybody's so good at Alabama. Like, you don't really pop. But again, I think Booker might be on the slide. Booker might be going right here to Seattle. But at 18, I take Gray Zabel. I take offensive lineman, guard, center, Gray Zabel at 18. 19, the Bucs are on the board. Jeff, I know he's a former tackle, so maybe you're disappointed that Gray Zabel went. What tackle do you have going 19?
I'm all out of tackles.
Okay.
And by the way, I would be taking more pass rushes if you guys didn't jump on them all in the first 10 picks. So it kind of left me with that. No other option but to go offensive line heavy. But I'm going defense here. Levante David's like 45 years old. They keep signing him to one-year deals in Tampa Bay. It's time to find a successor. I found him in Jahad Campbell from Alabama. Inside linebacker. So I'm going to go with him, and he'll be the heir apparent to Levante David when he eventually retires.
I mean, you are getting the best player at his position, right? I don't think that's ever a bad thing. You're taking the first one off the board. So, all right, Tampa goes linebacker. They go defense 20. The Denver Broncos are on the board. Where are you going here, Sam?
Well, the only thing that's preventing me from sprinting to the board is I don't know which wide receiver I should be taking. But the fact that I get to choose between Matthew Golden and Ted McMillan, like I am pumped if I'm the Broncos and it's falling this way. I could see speed being a better fit actually for the Broncos, but I think Ted McMillan's the better overall player. So that's where I'm going with Denver.
Looks kind of Marcus Colston-esque to me, a guy that's had some success under Sean Payton.
Yeah, my fear is like I want to make sure he doesn't look too Cortland Sutton esque. Like I want to have some differentiating with my receivers, and so that's what Obviously, he didn't run a great 40. I think he's at a 4.5. Golden runs below a 4.3. So that's a tough decision if you get to pick between those two, and I think different teams will pick differently there.
All right, 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the board. Don't love it because, like I said, I'm not going to be shocked if Shedeur Sanders makes his way to the second round, but I think Pittsburgh needs quarterback, and I think they'll feel like Mike Tomlin clearly never shies away from the handful, right? So if the talk of a diva interview was out there, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that would walk right through it and say, we like the talent. We're going to go get him. He's certainly not Ben Roethlisberger in the style and the size and the way he plays, but they need a quarterback. I think they're tired of waiting on Aaron Rodgers. If nothing else, this helps force his hand. I'll go Shedeur Sanders 21 to the Steelers. Chargers are up next at 22. Jeff.
Well, I can't. Jim Harbaugh loves his tight ends. They need a tight end. They went out and got, was it Will Dissly? No, it was the guy. They got Tyler Conklin from the Jets, and they've got Will Dissly there still. But these guys aren't playmakers at tight end. They need a playmaker. I'm taking Tyler Warren here. He just seems like a Jim Harbaugh, perfect fit for what they want to do offensively. They'll use him in multiple different ways. Maybe let him throw a couple passes. He was a quarterback in the past. So Tyler Warren. Couldn't get Colston Loveland, but Tyler Warren is a nice plan B.
Are you taking Loveland here still? If I had taken Warren?
Yeah, I'd take Loveland. I'd take tight end one way or the other. Yeah.
So. What about if you're the Colts? Are you taking Warren or Loveland?
Probably Warren.
Soren?
I like Warren.
I think Warren's a higher rated guy, right?
Oh yeah, he's definitely the higher expert.
Yeah, but there's a lot of buzz. I don't think Sam's out on an island on this one. I think there are other people that agree, and I think the age thing is big. More and more teams are looking at that, and I think that's a great point by Sam. Yeah. But everything everything Sam said about Loveland, I think the same thing about Warren. Like I think he can do all those things. I mean, he looks kind of Travis Kelce-esque. And by the way, Travis Kelce was an older player when he came out. So, there is that fascination with being younger, but so he lands at 22. I don't think we missed a spot. Can you see a spot where he would have gone between 15 and
No.
21 that we missed on where he would land if he does slide?
I considered him with the Broncos pick also
Yeah.
at 20. I mean,
That's
I
the
mentioned
one.
wide receiver. I just think wide receiver is a bigger need. But yeah, I think I'd consider him there. Maybe the Bucs. I guess I would consider that too.
Okay. Let's go to 23. Green Bay Packers are on the clock, and Sam has that pick. Where are you going for the Pack?
Yeah, so I mentioned potentially trading back with one pick with the Panthers. Here, if I have the Packers, I'm looking at what's available at 20 and considering a trade up. Like I'm looking at Tet McMillan, who I think is a better fit for them because of what they already have in the slot with Reed, as opposed, comparing him with Golden. And I'd love to get Tyler Warren. So I think if I'm the Packers, I'm looking at potentially a move up.
Okay.
In this draft, obviously, we picked, we stuck with the number. And I saw you put Matt's comment out there. He's right. I've got Shamar Stewart. I've got a little bit of slight hesitancy on this because just the real lack of actual production with Shamar Stewart. But, my scouts have told me that I'm supposed to fall in love with his tools. So at 23, it seems like pretty good value.
Okay. Nice job. Matt sniffs you out. He figures out where you're going. That puts me with the Vikings. You mentioned trade up. The Vikings only have 4 picks. I think they're definitely looking to trade down here, right? I think they're definitely looking to get more picks in this situation. So I think they're a prime candidate. So I know a lot of Chiefs fans have already said, okay, 31-24. Let's play that game here. Is there anybody the Chiefs are looking to come up to, or we can play it later, I guess. I'll just keep going. We'll get the draft done and we'll play it later. 24, though, circle that one on your board because that's one where the Chiefs, most people think the Vikings want to move down. So can you get up 7 spots and get somebody? With the Vikings having to make this pick the way we're doing it, I think they need a corner. I'm going to go Maxwell Hairston, corner, Kentucky here for them. I think they've got a lot of needs, but I do think you can never have too many good cover people.
He's the fast guy, right? He had the fastest time at the combine.
Fastest one of the combine. So I'm going to go Hairston here to the Vikings at 24. That brings us to the Texans at 25. Jeff, where are you going here?
Well, if I'm Nick Caserio and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to fortify my receiving core and Matthew Golden's still on the board at this point, I'm ecstatic. And so I couldn't ask for a better pick given what I've lost, given what I went through last year. Somebody to pair with Nico Collins and Tank Dell can get through his knee injury. He's probably not going to be playing that much next year. So to have Matthew Golden coming in running a 4.29 40, a Texas kid in Houston, it's a dream for me. So easy pick for me.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that puts us now to the what are we at? The Rams at 26. Sam, you've got the Rams at 26.
Yeah, this is interesting just because I think the best players on the board right now are edges. I feel pretty good about the development of the defensive line in LA last year. So I'm going to go with Luther Burden from Mizzou. And
not on your first round board, I might.
Yeah.
Well, I only had 18 guys there. All my 18 are gone.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm picking Luther Burden is I know some people say, okay, they got Devontae Adams. To me, this is a more like-for-like Cooper Kupp replacement. Luther Burden plays almost exclusively out of the slot in college. That's where Cooper Kupp played a lot. And also, Sean McVay's offense is a lot of out routes, and that is Burden's specialty. So I actually think this is a sneaky, really good spot for Luther Burden. And I wonder if the Rams are thinking this too based on fit.
I think it's a great spot. And I think the knocks on Luther Burden, the diva thing, like what wideout's not, right? And he's a diva, but he didn't leave Missouri, right? His first year, Curtis made a great point. His first year wasn't that spectacular, yet he stayed at Mizzou, made it work. And I've heard some people say, well, he didn't run this route. He didn't run that route. Well, he ran the routes that were called for him. Like, what do you see about him that says there's any route he can't run? He's almost exactly the same size as Jamar Chase. He ran 0.03 seconds slower. That's it. 0.03 seconds slower than Jamar Chase. I'm not saying he's going to be Jamar Chase. In fact, I will guarantee he will not be Jamar Chase. Right. But what I will tell you,
I already picked him. He's off. He's gone.
I know, but I love him. And I think that's a guy that if he gets this close, the Chiefs will be looking at. I'm up at 27. You're right. I should stick to my picks. Baltimore, you mentioned edge being some of the best guys. A lot of people have Baltimore taking safety here. I think that is a possibility, but You win in the trenches. James Pierce,
Yeah.
edge Tennessee, goes 27 to Baltimore. As long as you've got quality edges, you've got to take him. And the way this thing is going for us, maybe these guys all slide down, but they're coming off the board quick. You don't have the luxury of waiting. You got to take him, and the Ravens will. They take James Pierce at 27. Guess what? 28, your Detroit Lions.
Yeah,
Jeff.
how about that? Caught a break. I think I'm going to say this guy's name wrong, but Donovan Ezeraku.
Okay.
Ezeraku, edge from Boston College. I mean, look, they had all kinds of issues at pass rusher last year, even before Hayden Hutchinson went down. So this is, again, an easy pick for me. You got to find some young help. This guy is actually rising up the boards. He might not be there at 28 the way this draft would shake out on Thursday, but for him to be there at 28, you got to take him.
Okay. 29 and Washington. You're on the board, Sam.
Yeah, I'm going with Ohio State wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, and my rationale is that Jaden Daniels last year was terrific on third downs, but a lot of that was with his legs, and so I'm looking for a guy who's really reliable in those short and intermediate routes just to move the chains, and he might be the best receiver in the draft at that. I mean, I think he could become. You marry that with Daniels' rookie contract, and you get these two for 5 years together. And I just think it's a great pairing because I think he is a connection type of receiver. I think he's not a flashy guy at all. I don't think his skill set is going to wow you, but I think you're going to look up every game and he's going to have 8 for 90, something like that. And you're going to be really glad he's on your team.
All right, the last pick before the Chiefs, number 30, the Buffalo Bills. I've got it. A lot of people have safety again going here. We have not taken a safety. Both the top safeties that some people are projecting 2 of them to go in the first round. We haven't had go yet. I think about that. I think long and hard about corner, but we're starting to get a ways down the corner board. And you heard Brett Veach say it, that there's, not as much guys and not as many guys up top, good depth on corners, which I'm kind of looking at it, and I wasn't thrilled to make Maxwell Hairston there at Minnesota, but I look at a corner. I want to take a corner here. I actually also think I'm somewhat looking at, I'd like to get the guy I did take down to the Chiefs, but I think realistically with the board that's there, if you can't cover, get to the quarterback quicker. And I think the Buffalo Bills will invest in the defensive line. They've got a defensive-minded coach. They've always drafted highly on defensive line, and they do it again here with Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. Just get stouter on that defensive line. They'll get back to corner later on in this draft. So 30, Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. That puts the Chiefs on the board at pick 31. We will talk about what they would be doing here in a second, right after you hear from our friends at Whataburger. Your favorites are back, Kansas City. Now for a limited time at all your KC Whataburger locations, get the mushroom and Swiss burger, 2 large beef patties, Swiss American cheese, fire-roasted mushrooms, and creamy au jus. How about the sweet and spicy bacon burger, 2 large beef patties, American and Monterey Jack cheese, bacon, grilled onions, and topped with sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Or grab the patty melt, even the honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich. They're all perfect with the Whataburger banana pudding shake. Remember, Whataburger's open 24 hours a day with breakfast served from 11 p. to 11 a. And don't forget, you can get all your Whataburger favorites and more by downloading the Whataburger app with the QR code. Whataburger, proud sponsor of the Red Gold and Bold podcast. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. All right, we've got it. We're down here to where we have hit. We're up to the Chiefs selection. We want to break it all down. Anything you want to note as we've gone through the first 30 selections, Sam? You got anything you want to?
Yeah. I do a lot of these mock drafts on Pro Football Focus where I just say I'm picking for the Chiefs just to see what's available to me, where I can go. And literally every time I go there, I've got between like 3 and 4 trades that are offered to me, teams that are interested in acquiring my pick. This time I'm picking for all 30, so I can follow this, what we just did. 0 trades available for me. So
Okay.
we're not allowing trades in this. In this literal mock draft order that we just picked, Pro Football Focus Simulator is saying you don't have any trade options. Like, you are making this pick. And we've seen that happen to the Chiefs. And so that's the mode we're taking here, is something that has happened to the Chiefs, and that Pro Football Focus says this is how the first 30 shake out. This is what you're picking. You're making this pick.
All right. Jeff, you got any takeaways from how the 30 fell and where it sits for the Chiefs right now, or just a takeaway from the first 30?
I think the move you made with Jackson Dart at 9 and pushing Shadur Sanders down makes it likely, for what Sam just said, that I don't think you're going to see anybody in a rush to come up into the first round to draft a quarterback at that because of that. I think people can sit there, can hold their water, and know that there'll be guys available, and so you don't have to get really, really crazy with a trade in that situation. I don't think they're going to have a lot of options, the Chiefs, to make a trade to get back in the draft.
Okay. I guess my biggest takeaway here, the way it fell for us, is one, the quarterbacks. I do wonder. I think there's a chance that only one quarterback ends up going in the first round. But I do think Jackson Dart's going to fall in there somewhere. I think somebody's in love with him. I thought it was interesting the way the edges kept coming. That all of us had the mindset, when in doubt, go ahead and take the best edge. And so if they all start coming off the board, I think that's bad news for the Chiefs. How many of the edge rushers came off the board? So yeah, I think, and I will say that as I sit here, if I'm the Chiefs, you just said no trade downs available, but that's what I want to do, right? That's what I'm looking to do right here. If I'm Brett Veach, is I'm looking to trade down. I don't love this board right now. I don't love what's available to me.
Well, it's not as much about not loving what's available. It's that they're the same guys, right? I can pick 4. I don't know if there's a big difference between 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I have on my list right now.
Let's play the scenario here. Let's have the conversation like we're all in the Chiefs room. We're the lieutenants here. Omarion Hampton is there, right? Like, he was a first round grade, I think, of yours, right, Jeff?
He was.
Yeah, so how interesting?
Is the only first round grade that any of us have left, I believe. I think the other one that was a little bit deeper in the draft was James Pierce, and he's gone off this board. I think he might be the only first round grade that any of the 3 of us
I think you're right, because the other, I had a couple extra wideouts. They're gone. They came off. Pierce was one that I think when we did the other mock draft was still there for me. He's now gone. So yeah, I think this is
Booker taken?
This is
Did you have Booker as a first round?
I know the first guy.
Booker's available, yeah,
but they don't need him.
I mean, to give people a sense, I mean, I think it's, we can say the top consensus mock drafts have available here are going to be the 2 guys we mentioned: Hampton from UNC, Booker, the interior lineman, Josh Connerly, the left tackle from Oregon, Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss D tackle, Jeff's guy Nick Scourton, the A&M edge. Your guy, Soren, in your first mock draft, Landon Jackson's still available, the edge from Arkansas. So I think that's probably, and Amos, the corner too. I think that's probably the group that a lot of the consensus big boards are having. The quote unquote best player available graphic is showing those guys right now.
I was looking something up, so I apologize if I'm duplicating what you said, but did you mention the 2 safeties?
No, I did not. No,
okay. I think both
Malachi Starks. Yeah.
I think Nick Emenwari from South Carolina and Malachi Starks from Georgia are names that are there. And I don't, I think the Chiefs could use a safety, because I don't think Brian Cook's going to get re-signed. So I think they could use a safety. So I think it is, they'll talk about it. I don't know if that's where they will go, but it definitely looks like trading back. But Omarion Hampton, how much do they look at running back? Sam, do you think that that's a tough one for them to pass by, or does the ghost of Clyde Edwards-Helaire make it easy for them to say no?
Yeah, to me, it's not about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I really don't think that one mistake or one result should alter your process that significantly. To me, what changes is, first, I just don't really believe in a ton of first round value for running back. Although I think Hampton could be one of the exceptions. He was terrific for the last 2 years, and he's great in the passing game too. So you could definitely find good use out of Hampton. To me, it's the fact that this class of running backs is so deep that I can find one elsewhere, and I will find one elsewhere in this draft. I'll find one in the 3rd round. I'll find one in the 4th round, to where it makes it harder for me to justify picking one in the 1st round here.
Okay. All right. So where are we at? Jeff, 31 for the Chiefs. Where are you going to pop?
Oh, I took Nick Scorton in our mock with the Chiefs a couple weeks ago, and I'm sticking with it. To me, he was more productive than Shamar Stewart in college. He's very similar to George Karlaftis, relentless, high effort player. I think he's got good enough size where you can move him inside and do some interesting things with him at tackle in pass rush situations. And he's not the biggest guy in the world. I think he's 6'3". I think he was supposed to be 6'4" when he played in college, so he's already shrunk an inch. But I watched him play a lot in the SEC. A friend of mine's got a kid that plays with him, and the guy was all over the place. And so I love that about him. So I'm going. You could easily go defensive tackle. And I see a lot of people trumpeting Walter Nolan here. To me, edge rushers are where this game is at. If you're going to get a great defensive tackle, that's one thing, but I don't know if Walter Nolan's going to be a great defensive tackle. I think he will be a good player, but I think Score's going to be a better player.
Okay. Sam?
Yeah, when we first did this morning, I had Nick Scorton available. Like he was the guy I was considering when we sat here and thought, okay, who's available? And it's for all the reasons Jeff mentioned. I see the value in edge rusher. I think Brett Veach sees a better value in edge rusher than he does interior lineman, but I'm not expecting Walter Nolan to be there at 31. And so I just think it's too good a value. I will say, because there's a lot of people I know in our chat that have been truly trumpeting Walter Nolan. His measurables aren't terrific. He is a taller guy, doesn't have great size hands. He doesn't actually have the wingspan that goes with that. He didn't run at the combine. So I don't think he's the slam dunk that people think he is. I like Scorton. Certainly, I think he's somebody that I'm considering. I don't feel confident in the left tackles that are available to me. So I did not consider one of those guys here before I settled on Walter Nolan.
I can't stress enough how much they want to trade down. Like how much he should trade down. I mean, it really is. Like I sit here and, Landon Jackson, it'd be real easy for me to go right back to what I did, because I do think he very much looks like a Steve Spagnuolo guy. Some projections have him going at the bottom of the 2nd round now, which makes me wonder, what am I missing on this guy? Wow. I mean, what'd you say?
Really? He had a great combine.
I know, and that's why I don't understand why he's on the slide here. I agree. I think Walter Nolan, when I hear, I think there's a chance they didn't think he'd be here. And when you hear Brett Veach talk about the fact that it's depth at edge, we've had so many edges coming.
Yeah. How
big a drop is there now? Is it just 2 guys that are here? Is it 3 guys? Is it 4? Like, where is it that there's
how many have we picked so far, Soren?
We took Mason Graham.
7, right?
Okay, as far as D-line.
Edges, we picked Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, Mykel Williams, Donovan Ezeraku, and James Pierce, right? So we've got 7 edges off of this board.
Almost
so
a quarter
far.
of the draft, huh?
And with defensive tackles, we've taken Graham, Harmon, and just Grant. So I picked Nolan 4th, and that's still only half as many as edges. So you could still believe that edges is deeper and pick Nolan here, I think.
Man, Tyler Booker looks attractive right now. Like, if you had to fall back to him, I think Omarion Hampton is a long, hard look. I mean, I
really, wow,
I do. I know that it didn't work with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but Hampton is the exact opposite. I mean, he played for a good team. There were good players on North Carolina, don't get me wrong. But, I think the lesson you learn from LSU, and Brett Veach knows this. I've had conversations with him about it, that one of the things that gets tricky about evaluating these teams that are so star-studded is, the linebackers for Alabama. Well, they look good. They've got 2 NFL defensive tackles in front of them, 2 NFL edges coming after them. They've got NFL safeties behind them, NFL corners manning up. They run free, right? I linebacker from Alabama, I've heard, is a lot of guys tell me, is the toughest thing to evaluate, because they're so good everywhere around them. And I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a little bit of that. He ran behind the number 1 offensive line in football. He had the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. He had 2, like what might be Hall of Fame wide receivers that you had to worry about back there. And so I think it was easy for him. That was not the case for Hampton. I mean, he averaged, wasn't it 6.9 yards per carry last year without Drake May, right? He catches the football. Like he does it all. I think it's going to be a real test as to whether or not they can walk past him. So the way it went,
5'9" last year.
Tommy just called him Ethan Horton.
5'9", not 6'9". Okay, 5'9".
Yeah. But two straight years. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2 straight years of 5.9. Jeff, what'd you say?
So Tommy Lester just called him Ethan Horton 2.0.
Dude, I get it. And I racked my brain. Who's the best running back to come out of North Carolina? I mean, it was Kelvin Bryant's USFL days.
Yeah.
Okay. Kelvin Bryant became a third down back after the USFL with Washington. But like,
who was the running back for the Chargers in the 90s? He was a North
Atron
Carolina
Means?
guy. Yeah, he was a North Carolina guy, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah. He had a moment, but it wasn't like, wasn't a 10,000-yard back, right? Like, wasn't ever the consensus number 1 running back. And now I think that's almost what you got to get if you take a running back number 1. So I hate this.
Take him.
If they ran the ball more, I'd take him, but it's hard to justify it here, given what they do with their running backs.
We're taking who I would take, right? And
yes.
I'm stuck in the spot, and I literally would take discounts galore to move down. I would take literally anything to move down. I'm just going to stick with Landon Jackson, edge Arkansas. I don't get it. I don't think he's on the slot. I don't know how people can be putting him at the bottom of round 2. I'll take Landon Jackson. I think he looks the part of a Steve Spagnuolo guy. I think he's safe. I think he's going to get you 6, 7, 8 sacks minimum. And I think if it all comes together, he could be a beast. Right? He kind of reminds me of Sean Jones. Sam, I don't know if you're old enough, but Jeff will remember, 6'6" edge guy back in the day where everybody played a 4-man front. I mean, that's what he looks like to me. I like the kid a lot, so I'll go with a player that I like. I'll go Landon Jackson, but I think they're going to have to swallow hard for Hampton. I think they're pissed with the wideouts. I think around 25, 26, when Golden and Burden are there, they're thinking about moving up. I mean, I think wide receiver is more of a need than anybody really puts out there. You've got Rashee Rice, a player at risk who's going to be suspended. Who, like, how much do you want to pay Rashee Rice? Right? Like, and by the way, I don't, have you seen Rashee Rice run all the routes for the Chiefs? So the knock on Luther Burden, I think Luther Burden's the guy that if he starts getting that close, I think he'd be great.
I think Luther Burden is a fit for the Chiefs style of offense. I mean, they throw behind the line of scrimmage as much as anybody. They throw short, and that's what Luther Burden's strength of his game is. The one thing I wonder about Luther Burden in Kansas City is Rashee Rice executes by far the best from the slot. And that's where Luther Burden plays as well. And that's where Travis Kelce plays. Now, Travis Kelce, to me, should not be that significantly part of the equation. He's probably only here one more year. But I don't know if I want my 2 best wide receivers like overlapping that significantly to the point to where now Xavier Worthy probably almost never can play in the slot, right? You're almost exclusively playing him on the outside. That's the only thing I wonder about Luther Burden. Now, I think to your point, Soren, you might just, if he's available at 31, you might say, this is the best player I have on my board. And it's by a large enough margin. I will have, one of the best offensive minds in football figure out where he's going to fit. I just like the talent. And I wouldn't have any problem if that's the reason that they reached that conclusion.
And I think Amari and Hampton could be the same thing there. I will reiterate what happened with Larry Johnson. At 16, the Chiefs board said, take Larry Johnson. And Dick Vermeil wanted a defensive player. So Carl Peterson had scouts. He said, that's it, screw it, we're trading down. And he moved down from 16 to, I think, 27. And lo and behold, Larry Johnson was still on the board. And so he went with his board, and Dick Vermeil came out and pouted at the post-draft press conference. Oh, I wanted to take a defensive guy. He wanted to take Tyler Brayton. I think was the defensive end, the edge, like 6'6" defensive end from Colorado back then. I think that was the guy, or maybe I'm confusing his name. Anyway, he wanted to take this Colorado defensive end who ended up being all right. He wasn't anything great, but that's where he wanted to go with the draft. But they took the running back. They took the best player available. And so I think if they're looking at Amari and Hampton, they may be like, we have to trade down. Like, we cannot take a running back, and they'll just do it. All right. Well, we got Philadelphia at 32. I guess we should finish it off, Jeff.
Yeah.
You up. What do you think?
You know, I'd love to get an edge rusher here, but I think there's not going to be a lot left. And so to me, the next best move is to get an interior defensive lineman. And so I'm taking Walter Nolan with this pick. I think you slide him in next to Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in that spot that Milton Williams was playing last year. He's now gone. I think you get a pretty – that's 300 pounders in the middle of your defensive line, guys who are really athletic and twitchy. I think Nolan isn't as phenomenal of a player, but I think you put him next to those two guys, he can be productive for you. So that one makes sense for me.
What if he's gone? What if Nolan's gone? Because in Sam's draft, let's say it's Sam's board and the Chiefs take Walter Nolan.
Well, I think you take who Jeff picked for the Chiefs. I mean, I think you take the edge, right? I think you take Nick Scorton.
Then you take Nick Scorton.
Yeah. Or maybe Malachi Starks might be in the mix. You know, they need a safety too, but I think they need defensive line. They're big on taking defensive linemen over there. So I think they're not going to pass on the opportunity to get somebody who could help them up front.
It's been a successful formula to this point. There's no doubt about it, for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, you want to talk about success? You can talk about Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For 30 years, they've been Kansas City's best. If you own a business, don't have parking lot problems, don't have people playing bumper cars out there, leave a great first and last impression with your clients, with your customers, with a smooth, perfectly striped, perfectly flat parking lot. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com. Whataburger, open 24 hours, serving breakfast from 11 p to 11 a. Make sure you get out there and try that new Whataburger banana pudding shake. It is delightful. And our friends at Northland Injury Law. If you've been hurt in an accident, text HURT to 22222. Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, voted number 1 in Kansas City for injury law. If you've got a case, text HURT to 22222 or call 816-400-HURT. For Jeff Chadiha from the NFL Network, NFL.com. Sam McDowell from the Kansas City Star. I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on the Red, Gold, and Bold podcast.